Hey guys, hope you're all doing awesome. Start on a amazing Sunday morning cruise here. Found some backcountry roads, but I think it's going to take me out to the highway here again. But yeah, just trying to get as much in as I can here. Only have a couple more days off, and then I'm back to work for 2 weeks. And summer's going to be over, and next time I come back here, we're already going to be into fall, which is crazy, but also exciting. I love riding in fall. Nothing like just throwing on a sweater, riding in cooler temps. But yeah, anyways, today I want to talk about the quote that I think most of us have heard at some point, and that is, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything, which obviously is true. It's why we have our core beliefs and values, so that we're not easily manipulated or persuaded into other people's beliefs or values that might not serve us. But what I want to talk about is there's a consequence to that, or a possible consequence to that as well, if we don't really check our beliefs and values frequently. And that's what this episode's mostly going to be about. It's just kind of more of a reminder of why we should be checking our beliefs and values more often than not. And, you know, I know a lot of us, we're busy. We don't have time to think about every little thing and why we believe what we believe. We establish our beliefs and values, and we just stuck with it and went years going with it and just believe that we're going to stand on that for a lifetime. That's what's going to keep us grounded and something to stand on. But what I think is really important is making sure that they actually are still serving you, and that they're not holding you back from something, or actually leading you down a life that you'd rather not be going down, and you don't know why you're going down it. So I just think that we can become so attached and rooted in our beliefs and values that it can also become part of our identities, especially when these beliefs and values can end up going on for years or sometimes decades. So I have a couple examples of this that I'm going to get into. But before I do, I also want to kind of highlight the difference between a belief and values, because, I mean, they're obviously interrelated, but there is a big difference with beliefs in that they are just our own interpretations and assumptions that we make based on our own personal experiences. And so knowing that means also that they don't need to be true, right? A lot of people can believe in things that not other people believe is true, and maybe even been proven that is not true. But based on their own experience, I mean, I guess a good example of this is somebody who's seen a ghost. There's a lot of people who have not ever seen or encountered ghosts, but somebody who has believes in ghosts, right? So yeah, anyways, like I said, I have a couple examples here to get into of how maybe it would be a good time to check what you believe, and an example of why you should probably check more often than not why you're believing what you believe and why you value what you value. Starting with famous music producer Rick Rubin. He met a friend decades ago who introduced him to a book on the morality of eating meat, and it essentially turned him vegan. And he really devoted his life to it, and he really believed in the cause and doing his part in reducing meat consumption, and went on for decades. So unfortunately, many years down the road, he ended up falling ill, got really ill, and obviously, I mean, the guy's got money, so I'm sure he could afford the best specialists, best doctors. He said he went to a lot of them, and none of them could figure out what was wrong. They tried so many different things. And then eventually he met another friend who was living the opposite life and really valued an animal-based diet. And he really was convinced that Rick's problems were rooted in his diet, a vegan diet. And Rick was desperate at this point. He really wanted to try something, anything, to make himself feel better. But he just couldn't get rid of the belief that he had in the morality of not eating meat and his part in it, because he was in it for so many years. So eventually he managed to give meat a try. He eased into it, and then next thing you know, the guy found himself to be really healthy. And this isn't an argument on being, pro animal-based diet or knock at veganism or anything. There is a debate on if Rick was even doing the diet properly, Apparently there was things he was missing, and also he was living a sedentary life, not a whole lot of exercise, which obviously, plays a factor in everyone's health as well. But that's besides the point. This isn't a debate on, carnivore or veganism. The point that I'm trying to make is that I wonder, had he have questioned why he believes what he believes so much, and just ask himself the question, is it still serving me? Maybe it wouldn't have went on for decades, and maybe he would have found himself having an easier time transitioning out of that belief he had for decades into a different value and a different belief in a new diet that essentially got him better. This next example is one of my own. When I was being raised in the house that I was, and the childhood that I had was super religious, super strict, really firm belief in God and the principles, and especially the rules. And I was surrounded by this, like my aunts, my uncles, my parents' friends, my grandma, my grandpa, all of them all believed in this very devoutly. And the narrative everywhere I went, no matter who I was around, it was always, you got to have God in your life. It will make your life so much easier, and you need to follow the rules. You need to follow the 10 Commandments. Otherwise, you're going to end up perishing eternally and suffering in hell. So with that, I ended up gaining a major fear of death, because I ended up latching onto this belief, and I really valued all these principles and everything. It was, instilled in me at a young age when my mind was very malleable. And then again, a fear ended up getting caused around this. So I ended up really, really practicing this belief. But then when I was in the car crash and my life got turned upside down, and like I mentioned before, I lost my fiance, I also ended up feeling this intense guilt, wondering where my girlfriend might have been in this supposed afterlife, as I was told that if you don't follow all the rules, you're gonna burn in hell. So, we're only human, and both her and I were not following every rule to a T, right? So I ended up wondering if I had any responsibility or any part in the fact that she might be in hell. And it really tortured me. And this is where, at 21 years old, I really started questioning everything. And I had a lot to start to figure out. And basically, I needed to find out first, where did this belief originate from? It had been a part of me for, 21 years of my life, that I never really asked myself why I believed what I believed. I just believed it because I was influenced by it. So eventually, it took me a long time to let go, because it was 21 years, again, a couple decades of this devout belief, so that I no longer had this fear or this guilt. Anyways, I did eventually do it, and it is another example of, had I had questioned a little bit more frequently why I believed what I believed, I would have even realized this wasn't even my own belief. And that's why I think it's really important to, if not monthly, at least yearly, check in with yourself. Ask yourself, why do I value what I value? Why do I believe in what I believe? Do I still believe it? Does believing it still serve me? Or would a different belief actually serve me better? But yeah, anyways, just something to be reminded of, or maybe even think of if you've never thought of it before. And like I said, I know a lot of us are so busy with our lives that we're just subconsciously living through life. We're not consciously thinking about these things unless we have space and time to actually think about those things, which is another thing that obviously we're so preoccupied. We fill every space with distractions and dopamine hits and YouTube and Instagram, social media, that we never allow ourselves time, even in any of our free time, to think about these things. And so we're living very subconsciously through this life, not really making a whole lot of conscious decisions and not even aware of it. So anyways, guys, thanks for coming along for the ride. I'm going to go enjoy the rest of this day, and I will catch you on the next one.